Hi, and welcome back to my channel, and this is another UFO story from Norway. It's from the Nordic UFO newsletter, 1981, second edition, and this title is Strange Tracks on the Ice of Lake Stordalsvatnet. This history dates back as long ago as the winter of 1962. Strange prints were found, and subsequently a peculiar observation was made at the lake Stordalsvatnet. This lake is situated about 60 kilometers northeast of Haugesund, in the southwestern part of Norway. Exact date of observation is unfortunately missing. Many strange things can be discovered in the nature if you only look for it. It may look like pure magic, but most often it has a very natural explanation. Two inhabitants from Etne, a small village located about 10 kilometers westward, who were out fishing on Lake Stordalsvatnet, suddenly discovered strange signs in the snow. They are still wondering about what could have made these signs in the newly fallen snow which covered the ice on the lake. Carl Hegeland and an acquaintance of his, who were the two persons out fishing, suddenly came across two stripes softly imprinted in the snow. The stripes ran parallelly in a small windings along the ice for a very long distance. In some compartments between these stripes were lots of strange signs, which were closely connected. They resembled Arabian letters. Beyond this, there were stretches where only the stripes could be seen, until the letters appeared again. And here we have a picture, strange kind of tracks, and suddenly there are some signs. Yesterday we took a trip to Lake Stordalsvatnet and looked at the strange prints. We have to admit that we are not experts, neither on bird nor animal tracks, but it was an extraordinary sight. Indeed, we recognized the two weak stripes far out on the lake. They were covered with a relatively thin layer of newly fallen snow, but it seemed to us that the stripes reached only about 1 centimeter deep in the soft snow. The prints must have been drawn, in quotes, on Thursday, because they weren't there on Wednesday, says Hegeland as he accompanies us on the lake. It was about 19 centimeters between the stripes. They were 2.5 to 3 millimeter wide and 1 centimeter deep. The snow layer was about 1 inch. At this moment they were a couple of days old and not very conspicuous any longer, but still it was possible to follow them for miles. Wow, for miles. Hegeland told us that he had been out in the snow-covered woods for years, but he had never seen tracks like these. He could hardly believe that it was animals or birds that had made them. If it was an animal, one sooner or later had to see a footprint, but it didn't occur. And if it was a bird, one had to see tracks from feet or wingtips. Nor were there any cracks in the ice, because it had a compact surface and was rather thick after a long period with low temperature. And the strangest of it all were the drawings which suddenly could appear as long rows between the two stripes. These had dissimilar forms, but most of them resembled very much a C, and in addition there were dashes, dots and other forms that could be mistaken for small arrows. We followed the stripes to the end of the lake. They were lost just inside the power lines which crossed it. It was quite evident that where the tracks went, there were no wires from which drops could have fallen. Then the stripes passed outside the farm of Sigurd Løhaugen and crossed the eastern part of land above the lake for quite a long distance. Hegeland had followed the tracks for about 4 kilometers on the lake before he gave it up, but he could still see them. The tracks started and ended very abruptly. It was at least 5 kilometers long, and it varied between alternating sections about 200 meters, 2 parallel and winding stripes along it, followed by 100 to 200 meters with writings. Lake Stordalsvatnet is situated along the main road E76. The lake is stretching from Etne to Frette. The UFO observation. The following day a large UFO was seen over the same area. The witness Carl Hegeland saw this strange airplane hovering above Lake Stordalsvatnet. The plane was black as soot all over, except for a tiny little yellow stripe from wingtip to wingtip. It resembled a large German bomber from World War II. It looked as if there were 4 large engines in front of the wing and that there were 2 windows with a post in the middle. On the underside there were 3 triangulum-shaped legs. No landing wheels could be seen. Especially carefully, he watched the hindmost leg, which was fastened under the body. The 2 others were fastened under each wing. The wings were located upmost on the airplane. Hegeland stood on a spot where the road goes high over the Lake Stordalsvatnet. The time was about 2 p.m, a sunny day with a thin snow layer covering the landscape. The huge UFO passed him at a distance of about 50 meters and in an altitude of 20 to 30 meters above the ground. He watched it from above at his position, and it flew slowly and completely soundlessly past him. Due to this, he could watch it thoroughly for several minutes. It came flying from the south, passed over a large peninsula, went thereafter over the lake and passed over 2 small islands, which were covered completely. At this point, the lake is crossed by a power line, and the aircraft passed so close by that the witness thought that it would collide with the line. The UFO made a curve outwards over the lake and disappeared in the distance. While the UFO was passing, Hegeland noticed especially 2 persons, one in each window. He watched them carefully. They were slender, not big and not very old, with delicate faces. They sat motionless, looking forward and didn't pay him any attention at all. Their suits were white and they had some kind of caps on their heads. There were no traces of hair. They had a delicate profile, sharp noses and fair skin. Hegeland thought that this experience was so peculiar and unintelligible that he has kept his mouth shut until this very day. And here we have a map showing the tracks over Lake Stordalsvatnet. Interesting. The next story is about a UFO that landed in Hallingdal. So come back for that story. Until then, take care.